Welcome to my channel Mintage Mysteries, where every coin has a hidden story. If you love discovering hidden treasures and uncovering coin secrets, you're in the right place. We're on a quest to solve the puzzles behind the world's most fascinating coins. From rare errors to legendary rarities, let's dive into the mysteries of numismatics. The 1960 Swedish 2 Kronor coin emerges from a period when Sweden was transitioning economically yet still rooted in long-standing minting traditions. The coin was struck during the reign of King Gustaf VI Adolf, who had ascended the throne in 1950. His portrait became a staple of Swedish currency throughout the decade. By 1960, Sweden sought stability in both design and monetary materials, so the coin preserved earlier motifs while adapting to practical minting standards of the mid-20th century. The metal composition of this coin followed the silver standard still used for higher-value denominations at the time. It was minted in an alloy containing 80% silver and 20% copper. This balance provided both the visual brilliance expected of a national currency and the durability required for daily use. The silver content was also a reflection of Swedish monetary policy before global shifts in the value of precious metals eventually forced debasement in later years. The 1960 issue stands close to the end of Sweden's circulating silver coinage era, giving it significance for collectors and historians. The obverse design centers on the profile portrait of King Gustaf VI Adolf, facing right. His likeness is rendered in a naturalistic style, with soft but precise sculpting that conveys both age and authority. Surrounding the portrait runs the inscription of his name and title in Swedish, forming a balanced circular frame. The spacing and letterforms reflect mid-century Scandinavian typographic preferences, which favored clarity and modest ornamentation. Beneath the portrait sits the designer's initials, subtly integrated so as not to disturb the portrait's prominence. The reverse design features the greater coat of arms of Sweden, surmounted by a royal crown. The shield is quartered with the traditional symbols, the three crowns representing the kingdom and the lion of the House of Falkung. These elements are simplified yet faithfully rendered, respecting centuries of heraldic tradition while making the image clear enough for mass production dyes. The denomination is placed with measured restraint, with the value and the unit clearly separated to maintain symmetry. The year of issue appears below the central motif, engraved with the clean numerals characteristic of Swedish minting during the period. The coin's edge is smooth rather than reeded. This choice was consistent with other Swedish coins of similar denominations and served functional purposes, including simplifying production and reducing wear during circulation. The coin's diameter and weight remained aligned with long-established standards, ensuring compatibility with existing coin handling systems and public familiarity. Overall, the 1960 Swedish 2 Kronor coin reflects a design philosophy that balances tradition, national identity, and practical minting considerations. Its blend of silver composition, royal portraiture, heraldic symbolism, and restrained Scandinavian design places it firmly within the stylistic and economic context of mid-20th century Sweden. The 1960 Swedish 2 Kronor coin belongs to a monetary era that was approaching a dramatic turning point, even if the people handling the coin at the time were unaware of the change coming. For centuries, Sweden had tied its higher denomination coins to precious metals, and silver in particular had long been a symbol of both economic stability and national pride. By 1960, however, the world market for silver was slowly climbing, and although Sweden continued striking its 2 Kronor pieces in a silver alloy, the financial logic behind this choice was becoming less practical. This gives the 1960 issue a sense of being part of the last breathing space of a tradition that would soon be forced to end. Less than a decade later, Sweden would remove silver entirely from circulating coins, making all issues from the early 1960s the final representatives of a centuries-old system. Placed within this environment, the coin reflects not just monetary custom but also the cultural atmosphere of the reign of King Gustaf VI Adolf. His portrait dominated Swedish coinage throughout the 1950s and early 1960s, and it represented a monarch associated with scholarship, archaeology, and restrained dignity. The 2 Kronor coin carried his profile with crisp detail, a calm expression, a naturalistic rendering, and a clean Scandinavian sense of proportion. The reverse displayed the greater coat of arms of Sweden, continuing a heraldic tradition that had been used in various forms for hundreds of years. In handling a 1962 Kronor, one was touching symbols that connected modern Sweden to older historical layers. When considering rarity, the story becomes more nuanced. Unlike coins that are rare because very few were minted, the 1962 Kronor had a normal production run for its series and was widely used in everyday transactions. It was not set aside as a commemorative piece, nor was it struck in unusually small numbers. The rarity that collectors discuss today emerges instead from what happened after the coin's years of circulation. When the value of silver rose sharply in the late 1960s and early 1970s, many of these coins were removed from circulation and either hoarded or melted. People frequently broke open savings jars, old drawers, and coin collections, exchanging or scrapping their silver pieces for quick profit. This process did not distinguish between worn circulation pieces and pristine examples. Both disappeared in large numbers. As a result, while the 1960 coin itself is common in lower grades, the population of coins that survived in better condition is surprisingly small. If one examines the surviving coins today, a clear pattern emerges. A typical 1960 example will show smoothing across the king's hairline, softening of the coat of arms, and perhaps small marks from years of handling. These pieces are everywhere, and their prices reflect that accessibility. Slightly better coins that show crisp lettering and moderate luster are somewhat less common, but still not difficult to find. The major jump in rarity comes when looking for coins that escaped circulation entirely. An uncirculated 1962 Kronor with full mint luster, clean surfaces, and sharp detail is genuinely hard to acquire. These are the coins that collectors consider scarce, because very few were set aside when new. Even more challenging are coins with exceptional eye appeal, pieces with flawless surfaces, a strong strike, and minimal imperfections. These command the highest interest because they represent the smallest surviving portion of the original mintage. Value follows this rarity structure closely. Circulated coins cluster around their melt value because silver still forms the foundation of their market price. Slightly better preserved coins carry small collector premiums. But as condition improves, each incremental upgrade becomes more significant. A coin that is technically uncirculated but has a weak strike or light marks will be noticeably more valuable than a circulated example, yet still affordable. A sharply struck, fully brilliant example can be worth considerably more. The highest values are reserved for coins that appear almost untouched by time, those that exhibit a nearly perfect portrait, razor-sharp heraldic details, and bright, original mint luster. Such coins can sell for several multiples of their more common counterparts, not because the year itself is special, but because the survival of exceptional specimens is uncommon. In studying the 1962 Kronor coin, one gains insight into how numismatic rarity can develop in unexpected ways. A coin does not need to be struck in tiny quantities to become scarce. It only needs to lose most of its best preserved examples through melting, mishandling, or simple neglect. At the same time, the coin represents a historical moment when Sweden was still rooted in silver-based monetary traditions but edging toward modernity. Its designs reflect national identity and monarchic symbolism, while its rarity patterns reveal the economic pressures that reshaped coinage in the 20th century. By examining its history, rarity, and values, the 1960 Swedish 2 Kronor becomes more than a piece of metal. It becomes a witness to economic transition, a survivor of mass melting, and a final echo of an era when silver flowed through the everyday pockets of Sweden's citizens. If you enjoyed today's exploration, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin discoveries, and share this video with fellow collectors. And as always, keep searching for those hidden treasures in your change. You never know when you might stumble upon the next big mystery.